I'd only been working the graveyard shift at the 7-Eleven on the edge of town for about 6 months. I was 22, studying for my engineering degree, so the late hours were all I could swing around my labs. David, the manager, was a friend of my cousin's and helped me get the gig when I told him I needed the money to stay afloat. I was seriously thankful. It was usually dead quiet, with only a few people for gas or cigarettes. I was halfway through my shift that Tuesday night. The clock on the wall said it was probably around 2 a.m. The store was totally dead, and I was just refilling the chips rack when the door chimed and a blonde woman walked in. When she first came in, I figured she was just a regular shopper. She looked maybe in her mid-30s, rocking some cool striped jeans and a leather jacket, but she didn't even look around before walking straight to the counter.
Do you have ice and bandages?
Yeah. I pointed her to where the first aid stuff was. She got bandages and gauze, then bought a bag of ice. The whole time she had this seriously strange smile, like it was frozen on her face and she couldn't take it off.
Thanks, sweetie. Just ignore me, okay? Whatever you see, just ignore it.
She giggled loudly, and it honestly gave me the creeps. But she took off before I could even ask her what that meant. I watched out the window as she walked over to a car by the gas pumps, opened the back door, and started looking after someone in the back seat. It was a kid, maybe 7 or 8, lying still. I kept watching. Something felt off. The woman was putting bandages on him and using the ice, but the kid wasn't moving at all. Suddenly, she looked up and made eye contact with me through the window. The grin on her face got wider. My stomach turned. Holding eye contact, she gathered the kid in her arms, opened the door, and came back in holding the kid. He was out cold, his head flopping back and his arms hanging limp.
We were in an accident. Can you watch him for a minute while I use the restroom and grab some food? I need to get him to the hospital, but I have to clean up first.
I looked between the kid and her. Yeah, sure. She put him on the floor by the counter and took off for the restroom. I stood there, staring at the kid. My eyes fell on her car. It looked as good as new. I mean, I really looked, and there wasn't a scratch, dent, or broken window. If they'd been in a wreck bad enough to knock a kid out, how was the car totally fine? And the woman didn't seem to be injured at all. Something was really wrong. The story didn't make sense. I stood there thinking and trying to figure out what to do. Right then, the kid groaned and moved a little. His eyes started to open slowly. He looked confused and scared. I knelt beside him and whispered, "Hey, don't worry. Your mom's gonna take you to the hospital. Can you tell me what happened in the accident?" The kid stared at me, wide-eyed, his lips trembling as he whispered, She's not my mom." A shiver went down my spine. I got up, grabbed my phone, and dialed 911. I told them the whole story. They said they were sending cops over. But I knew she'd come out way before the officers showed up, so I walked over to the bathroom. The woman was still inside, and I could hear the water running. I quietly locked the door from the outside using my work keys. Moments later, loud banging echoed through the store. She was pounding on the door and screaming.
Let me out! I need to take my son to the hospital! What are you doing?
I didn't answer. I stayed near the kid, kept him calm, and told him help was coming. The banging got louder and more frantic.
Open this door right now! She needs a doctor!
She kept screaming and threatening to sue me and saying I was going to be responsible if her son died, but I didn't unlock it and only waited. Soon enough, the sirens got closer. The banging suddenly stopped, and everything went quiet. Police arrived within minutes. I unlocked the bathroom and they pulled her out. She was crying and screaming that I'd locked her in, that her son needed help, and that I was insane. But the officers looked at the kid and asked him questions. He told them she wasn't his mom and that she'd taken him from the park. He said she had given him something to drink that made him sleepy. The woman's story fell apart completely. They arrested her right there. When they put her in handcuffs, she was still screaming and insisting the kid was hers, but he wasn't. They found drugs in her purse and matched the ones they found in the kid's body. The kid's parents came to the station later that night. They'd reported him missing hours earlier. He'd been playing at a park and vanished. They were crying, thanking me over and over, saying I was a hero. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt sick, because I couldn't stop thinking about the whole episode. I'll be graduating by the end of this year. I still work at that 7-Eleven and do graveyard shifts, but I watch people more closely now, ensuring nothing feels out of place in their stories. That night taught me that evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes it looks like a normal woman buying bandages, and sometimes The only thing standing between a child and a nightmare is whether or not you pay attention.